least comfortable talking about now, so I can ask a couple of questions about that.
Well, Oprah, I don't know.
So Holger mentioned you had an interesting journey with VCs, right? So anything you want to share with the audience? We have some of our companies here that will talk to all of you later.
Don't do a Hitler joke at a VC meeting, right, Holger?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So that joke that he did, he's done that multiple times.
Which led to some sort of disagreement at a potential exit, not directly, with our main VC, which did not lead to our VC being of a completely opposite opinion than we did. So I like Tesla cars.
Oh, you're going to tell us one.
You have to motivate people to do things. He's so American, he doesn't even remember Korean. So I try to tease him. So I promised him a Tesla Roadster. At that time, Lotus still provided the bodies for Tesla, so it was a Roadster. I said, let's bet. You get a Tesla Roadster with a number plate that says, I lost that one to him. Could be as inappropriate as you want. You can... Okay, I won't get into details there. If the market valuation of the company at exit point is that number, no worries, I won't tell you.
I got that number.
All right. Then soon after that, we had a term sheet on the table. Of course, he wants his Tesla. So we had a term sheet on the table that actually made this number and even exceeded it. So it was a safe Tesla. Unfortunately, our VC, which is a good one, by the way, I like them. I would do business with them anytime again. They thought, well, that's a much bigger business. It's $1 billion whatever thingy. We hit for the fences. Crap, I'm German. That's a cash deal, not shares or anything. Real money, I can go to the next Bulgari shop and buy whatever I want. I want that now. There was a sort of a disagreement. We completely agreed on where we disagreed. So I chose to then just leave country and went to a war zone, but this is a different story. But in that case, we completely disagreed. It didn't. This deal did not come true, and another deal came in. But nevertheless, I learned how difficult these sort of conversations can be, even among friends, even among people who understand each other, just because of diverging interests. And this is, I think, a typical thing for venture capital in general. So sometimes your interests do not align. Sometimes having a ridiculous amount of money might not be enough for instance, someone becoming a partner at a VC company, for instance. So that might allude to what...
Yeah, and just a footnote to that, the company that we got that good term sheet from, and we didn't take it, they ended up buying a competitor of ours about 6 months later for $700 million. So the VC was partly right? The market was willing to pay a lot more for partially of what we had. These guys had some more stuff, but that's the thing. It's not a scientific or technical thing. It's not a binary. It's not a ones or zeros kind of answer. It's very non-linear. It could have been $1 billion. It could have been $5 million. It could be somewhere in between, and a lot of it has to do with luck and timing and chutzpah and all of these things. But I think the lesson here is that we came out of it still as friends, and I respect him for the opinion that he had, and I certainly hope you respect me for the opinion that I had. And you learn from these things, and now I'm back at the university teaching kids how to avoid the same mistakes that you and I, mostly you, made. So,
are there any questions from the audience? One thing we learned today is that Germans are humorous.
I was gonna say, you guys are really funny. Like, my jokes are, I mean, I was in Estonia for a month, and I gotta say, I tried every joke, and it's crickets, right? Because they don't like to smile, and you have to smile to laugh, and so they just didn't laugh, but you guys are kind of funny, yeah.
So, okay, maybe if there are no questions from the audience, one more from my side. I mean, we are running this program now for 18 months. We have had about, Bernard probably will know best, but about 24 companies now in our program. So you get to meet a lot of different characters. And we know that there's a very strong one over there. So, the question is primarily for you in the first place. What do you recommend to a German entrepreneur who comes to the Valley or San Francisco, is looking to hire US talent, in whatever capacity? Do you have any particular advice of what you better don't do, or maybe what you should do?
Oh, that's a good question. So I work with lots of Germans through the GSVA. I also work with lots of French, and I love to work with students from Polytechnique and Central, and it's a lot of fun because I can do this whole culture comparison between the French and the Germans. And it's kind of funny, all of your white wine is gone, but your beer is still here. So I think you guys are much more California now, having spent time in California than German. But it's fun to watch the differences. And I would say the one key difference is when you disagree with a French person, it doesn't matter how old they are, what status, they will argue with you to your face. It'll be quite genuinely. They won't go personal. That they'll be like, no, that doesn't make sense. And they're very adamant, and they will fight with you. And 2 days after the issue should be over, because the decision had to already be made, they're still arguing with you over that same point as if it still matters, because it's a matter of national pride or something, right? The Germans are, in general, these are all generalizations, the Germans are very different in that they sit there, they listen, and they nod. Like they're listening to you and they're agreeing with you, which, by the way, I think with Germans I've learned that nodding doesn't mean agreement. It just means I understand what you're saying. So that's one thing. So if you're German and you want to tell Americans what that means, you're not agreeing, let them know you're not agreeing with them. So the funny thing is they will nod, they'll go do what you tell them to. Exactly, they'll try to execute it. They'll come back and they say, we tried it, it didn't work. That means we don't have to listen to you anymore. Because it wasn't a test of what you told them to do, it was a test on whether you tell the truth or not. They're testing you, right? So if you're German and you're working with Americans, you need to let Americans know that, this is what you do, right? These are tests of people's advice and their mental mettle. And Americans need to be very honest with you, is that they're also half bullshitting all the time. So they're going to ask you to do things to test. And that's why we're really good in the Valley, is because we're testing things all the time. We don't know the answer, we're just going to go test it. And it's okay to do that. So there is that disconnect. Yeah?
Just an observation. I'm kind of German.
Austrian.
Okay. And I used to do business in Germany, and I did a lot of business from Germany with Japanese. And what you said just 3 minutes ago was exactly what we Germans, kind of Germans, said about the Japanese. When you say something and they nod,
yes,
doesn't mean that they agree.
Yeah.
And now you're saying this to kind of me,
yes,
which is very interesting. And so there's layers of this behavior.
Americans don't understand Japanese at all, like at all. So I mean, it's because there's a term in American English. It's Japanese no or Japanese yes, which means no. Right? They'll say yes to you, or they'll avoid answering, and you think you're getting agreement. But what they're trying to do is they don't want to insult you by telling you no. But they're going to waste your time and let it all kind of, die on the vine. So yeah, I mean, I've noticed Germans are fairly, they're fairly open and honest. They'll tell you how they believe, and they'll give you a chance, right? But it's that part where, okay, if you're wrong, the Germans are vicious. They don't cut you any slack, right? That was your one test. You're done, Greece. We want our money back, right? It's very much like
Again, there's the same difference between Japanese and German.
Yeah.
Same. It's really
All right.
So you're getting payback by the Japanese.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good.
All right, great, gentlemen. Thank you so much. That was very entertaining. But,